How could we go any further without having a conversation about Amazon? It's been touched on throughout the couple days, but this is really going to focus on Amazon. Here with me today, I have Ben Parr, co-founder of Octane AI, and Michael Kokaris, the co-founder of Deliverr. Sessions about what we're calling commerce in the age of Amazon. And both these guys are people, I've known Ben for a while, but really that I started talking to over the past couple months about their companies and how they're applying AI and technology to help merchants, especially in this weird time where companies like Amazon have amassed so much power. So, Ben, tell us a little about Octane AI so everyone here gets a sense of what you do.
So, hello everybody. I'm Ben. I'm the co-founder of Octane AI, and so what we do is chatbots for e-commerce. So, merchant stores, they communicate with their customers in really sophisticated ways over email and over these other kinds of platforms, but many of their customers have moved towards messaging, and so we have built a platform to help merchants, both big and small, communicate directly with their customers for everything from like helping them pick out a product, reminding them when they forgot to complete a purchase, to help using actual artificial intelligence to help understand like what kinds of questions customers are asking and create automated responses back to things like, where is my order? What's your return policy? And so a complete solution for the entire customer journey. And so we work with everyone from like L'Oreal and GoPro to over 1,000 merchants on the Shopify platform.
Great. And Michael, tell us a little about Deliverr.
Yeah, so Deliverr is essentially an Amazon-like fulfillment service for e-commerce merchants. And so we handle the warehousing, the shipping, for a merchant whenever an order comes in. And essentially what we enable merchants to do is offer free 2-day shipping anywhere they sell. So if they sell on Walmart, they sell on eBay, they sell on their own Shopify store, letting them offer free 2-day shipping so that it's not just on Amazon where you can get their products with free 2-day shipping. We work with some of the largest Amazon sellers today. There's actually a good chance a lot of people in the room have bought from a few of our clients, but a lot of them tend to be resellers, so you might not actually know some of the names. And we actually don't own any of the warehouses or the carriers, anything like that. We're more like an Uber for fulfillment. So it's an asset-light model, and we orchestrate the different assets so that we can affordably offer free 2-day shipping across the country.
So, I mean, how many people here are Amazon Prime members? Whew.
Yeah.
And how many of those people do it primarily for the 2-day shipping? Right? I mean, they have other services, video and all of that but really people are using it for the 2-day shipping. So, have we gotten to that point where customers expect it to be there in 2 days, and if you can't do that they're going to move on to the next brand or merchant?
I think, Marketplace Pulse, which is an e-commerce analytics company, just ran a really interesting analysis looking at the number of products enabled on free 2-day shipping. And the number one provider is Amazon Prime. So right now they came out with 100 million products enabled with free 2-day shipping on Amazon Prime. If you look at how many Walmart right now has on free 2-day shipping, which is the closest, it's around 2 million products. So to say that free 2-day shipping is table stakes, I think is really, even though buyers, you expect it, but when everyone's a Prime member, obviously you're going to expect it. But outside the market, it's a huge challenge. And I think one of the really things that we're excited about is, with our partnership with Walmart powering free 2-day shipping for their merchants, to really kind of help drive that number up so that, when you go and you look at, we're looking at, should I buy on Walmart, should I buy on Amazon? Well, not needing a subscription to buy on Walmart is actually a pretty big value add. Right now I just renewed my Amazon Prime subscription. It was $129. Initially I thought it was going to be $120, but I got another $9 tacked on. And really, for me, I'd say like the main reasons now is to watch like Jack Ryan or Top Gear, things like that. But as Walmart adds more and more selection on free 2-day shipping, I think it'll be harder and harder to retain the Prime user base until they make big investments in video and grocery and some of those other initiatives.
So Ben, obviously, people could choose to sell their products on Amazon. They could choose to go direct to consumer using a platform like Shopify. Are you seeing a lot of the merchants that you're talking to trying to, again, I think we talked about controlling distribution and controlling destiny, controlling your data. Are you seeing a resistance to wanting to work with Amazon, the merchants that you're working with?
So yes, but I think some historical context is super helpful here. So even 10 years ago, or even a little bit more, like the main way in which you as a creator of a consumer brand reached consumers was through these distributors who had the stores, not just an Amazon, but a Walmart, a Target, a grocer, whatever it might be. And then you ran television advertising and you did other things like that. Then the internet came, and then e-commerce came, and then the capability to easily sell things online came. And it made it easier to ship things than it was ever before, and it became a more normal consumer behavior, in part due to Amazon. And now you have options. And so you have to, like when you are selling through a distributor, you are giving a significant cut a lot of times to them versus keeping all that yourself, which obviously is something that you want to do. But it wasn't really that much of an option until in recent years, when now you are seeing brands like Away, like the suitcases, creating really powerful direct-to-consumer brands. And so Away is a great example. They're one of the fastest growing e-commerce companies in history. And they grew super fast, partly because they just built this really direct-to-consumer brand, and they do not distribute through anyone. You're not going to find it through an Amazon, and you're not going to find it through most of the things, at least directly through them. And they don't even sell in other people's stores. They only open their own stores.
But is that a trend we've seen? I mean, obviously, you could talk about Warby and Casper and all of the emergence of these direct-to-consumer brands. I mean, are they just really trying to protect that relationship with the consumer, and it's all about that loyalty and building that trust with your consumer?
So in the super short, the loyalty with the consumer, keeping the margins, but also when you are on an Amazon or something, you are giving them your data as a merchant. And we have seen time and time again, and intelligently for Amazon, creating private label brands and being very successful with them. And so if your best bet to de-risk yourself is to go completely direct to consumer. It is also the hardest path. You have to really be great at advertising, at using a ClearBank to go and buy lots of ads in order to reach these consumers, but also build enough brand value and brand equity for them to be repeat consumers. But it is safer than relying on a distributor who can make one decision that can destroy your company.
So, Michael, it's funny, when we first, started talking, I'm like, well, 2-day shipping, that's easy, right? Like FedEx, UPS, everyone offers 2-day shipping. How hard could it be? But then we really started talking about what your model is about, right? About really using AI and algorithms to optimize where you're warehousing products so you don't need to pay those high cost of shipping, which typically associated with 2-day, and you could maybe do it via ground locally. Talk about the technology that you had to build so that if I have 100 widgets, you would tell me this is where you need to distribute your products in our warehouses. Talk a little about the technology that you had to build to optimize that.
Yeah, I mean, if you buy from Amazon today and it's coming from a warehouse, the chances are it's not coming from very far. Versus if you buy anywhere else from a Warby Parker or something like that, there's a good chance that that package is traveling across the country to get to you. And what we realize is that fundamentally there's a discrepancy in the market between the way Amazon runs fulfillment and the way everybody else does. And that discrepancy was only getting bigger and bigger. I knew Amazon's now opening up free 1-day shipping with Prime. And the way we approach the model is that let's say you have an item and you have 2 different items. Let's say we have jackets and then we have surfboards. What we do is we create a demand graph for that item. So we know jackets are going to be bought in the Northeast, Midwest. Surfboards are going to be bought in the Sun Belt, so California, Texas, Florida. And based on that, we're going to figure out where to position the retailer's inventory. And so Amazon runs a very similar model. The difference, though, between our models is that Amazon had to sink a lot of capital into these warehouses. And today, even though they have 100 million products enabled on Prime, it does lead to certain constraints because you're constrained by the number of warehouses you can have in the network. And so fundamentally, we made the decision when we started Delivers that we didn't want to own the warehouses. And that enables us to expand capacity very quickly. It enables us to add warehouses very quickly in locations that are strategic for our SKUs. So, for example, if there's a lot of buyers coming in Manhattan, we know that we need to find warehouses that are very close to Manhattan. And when an order is placed, we figure out what is the optimal warehouse to ship that order from. And there's a lot of different data points that we use. We look at historical data of carriers and their delivery times. And for the most part, we do end up shipping ground. It's very rare that we ship on a 2-day method. And that's why we can offer 2-day shipping at a rate that really no one else can do outside of Amazon today.
So your margin is dependent on you being able to ship it the cheapest way possible.
Yeah.
But getting it still there in 2 days.
And the big part of why retailers love it, because in the end, to a retailer, we are a warehousing and shipping company. And it's very simple for them, but in terms of what they pay, it's a fixed rate. And so for an iPhone case, it's like $525 nationwide 2-day shipping. And so that predictability enables them to know, okay, this is what my cost structure looks like. And so they exactly know, am I going to be making or losing money on this item day one? Prior to that, if you were to work with a typical third-party logistics provider, you're going to have an upfront contract fee, you're going to have account management fee, you're going to have a receiving fee, which is hourly, you're going to have storage fees, you're going to have shipping fees, which depend on the carrier, how many zones it's going across. There's a million different factors to a point where you're like, okay, I'm a 5-person business. I have no idea what my cost structure looks like. Not everyone is like a Nike where they can have a team dedicated to logistics and dedicated to operations.
So, Ben, you talk about Messenger and you guys using Messenger to engage with consumers, primarily around abandoned cart, right? So is that sort of, one of the areas that you're working in?
Yeah, and then retargeting, like welcome series, re-engagement, these kinds of different kinds of campaigns and kinds of flows that merchants are running every day over email and on ads.
And how are consumers feeling about that engagement? Obviously, you talked about all the different channels. We're starting to get more retailers communicating with us via SMS. Obviously, email traditionally has been the way they've touched us. Is Messenger something that you're seeing both high engagement and ROI on?
So high engagement and ROI, the answer is yes. So kind of some of the numbers to think about. So on average, our merchants are making anywhere between 7 and 25% in lift overall on their revenue by adding Octane. And part of it is because we can connect with customers earlier in the customer journey. So for our software, think of it like email, where you opt in for emails from a brand by giving them your email address. You opt in for Messenger or by giving them permission by clicking a checkbox or messaging them first or saying yes or clicking a button, send a Messenger button, and then you have that different kind of experience. And so I think of it as just like email. If you're sending really crappy emails, you're going to have high unsubscribe rates and you're going to be looked at negatively. Same thing with messaging. If you have really bad messages, if you are just promoting stuff all the time, if you're spamming, it's not going to work. And even Facebook has rules against that. But if you are building high engagement kinds of things, you're giving them there's just these unique things you can do over messaging you can't do over email. Like a back and forth conversation, learn more about them, personalized in a really strong way. We see that works really well. Open rates of 70, 80% or higher, really heavy increases in revenue.
How much of that data does Facebook see and get and understand?
So one is so Facebook doesn't give us that much data, which I think is part of the privacy thing. You only get as a messenger platform, first name, last name, profile photo, time zone, gender, the very basic info, which I think helps protect privacy. But they're having that back and forth conversation. Facebook can see some of it, but a lot of it they can't see the structure of it, right? So in a conversation, for example, L'Oreal's Kiehl's bot is powered by us. The Kiehl's bot will ask questions like, what kind of skin do you have? What kind of product are you looking for? And so they could see people sort of answering that, but they don't have the structure around what is that entire list of people? What are they and then retarget against that or understand, for example, that these people also chose this different option in this different platform. So they see some of the data, but not in the same kind of structured way we do. And they don't see data across, so for example, they don't have the connection to Shopify. So they can't correlate that with purchase data, which I think is a big key to making something really relevant, making a chatbot really relevant for a consumer of a brand.
So, again, I think as brands and merchants, is Amazon a friend or foe, right? I mean, we talked about, earlier today, 100+ private label brands using the data to actually compete with their sellers. But on the other hand, obviously a way to scale and distribute. Traditionally, how are you starting to see brands think about Amazon? Are they starting to pull back? You talked about Walmart Marketplace, seeing an influx of merchants. Are people looking for alternatives and alternative platforms just because Amazon has amassed too much power?
On the Amazon side, it's one of the best channels to be on. I mean, it's incredible when you look at selling on Amazon in terms of the fulfillment fees that they give you, the Amazon referral fees, and then just how they're able to give you an ads product that's really strong to get your product out there and to acquire new users. It's an incredible platform for that. And so my recommendation is never don't be on Amazon. I think for a lot of merchants, Amazon is a really critical piece to their business, but you shouldn't only be on Amazon. And I think that's one of the things that has been a really big challenge for a lot of our sellers. I mean, we work with some of the top 10 Amazon sellers in the world today. These guys are pushing well over $150 million in revenue on Amazon annually, but Amazon makes up 95, 98% of their business. And that's just not a sustainable business model because
we've seen Amazon literally look at those businesses, right,
Yeah.
and say, okay, there's so much throughput there. We need to be in that business.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing in their world, right? And what happens is they'll go and they'll source certain products that you find that are selling well, and then you have to go and find new products. And that's actually part of the Amazon engine. They use third-party sellers to find out what's selling well, what's not selling well. And if they find something that's really selling well, they're either going to private label it or they're going to go and source that product and purchase it in a wholesale 1P relationship. And then third-party sellers are stuck having to find new items. And diversifying is a huge piece of any business. And I think for a lot of sellers, Walmart is, a lot of the big Amazon sellers, Walmart has emerged as one of the really big next channels. Shopify has definitely emerged as a big channel. And there's new ones too. I don't know if anyone here is familiar about Google launched their Shopping Actions marketplace. We're obviously at Deliverr really excited about that, and we're trying it out, seeing how our sellers are doing, fulfilling those Google orders. Facebook just launched their marketplace for B2C brands. And so there's definitely a lot of activity coming out. And I think also the nature is going to change from what it is today to what will be by the end of next year.
I know we're almost out of time, but it's a very frenemy kind of relationship where it really depends though on what vertical you are. If you're selling a commodity, an Amazon makes a lot of sense, especially because a commodity, it's not about the specific brand affinity. If it's a very unique kind of product, a unique kind of brand affinity, there is a good argument to be made. Don't be on Amazon or another platform, be on just your own platform, build on top of Shopify, really build your own distribution channels, because they could see this is our cute little mascot Octi, by the way, if you've been wondering. So if Amazon sees that Octi's popping on Amazon, even if it's only a small portion of your business, it's logical for them to go and start building that part of their business as well, because you are giving up something by being on that platform. And so you can only it's a focus thing too. You could focus on building your own channel or really focus on being on the Amazon channel, but when you're at the super early stage, it's hard to build both, and you kind of have a decision to make.
Great. Well, we are out of time, but let's thank Michael and Ben for joining us today.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.